Hello. Okay, I am going live. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about the latest annual report by Berkshire Hathaway 2022. Okay, so without further ado, let's take a good look at this report. Um, let's look at the fourth page of the report, and you get to see uh, the annual performance between Berkshire's and the S&P 500. All right. So over here, the performance started from 1965 till 2022. All right. Um, to have a better sense of how Berkshire has evolved and adapted to modern time, I think it's good to look at their past 5 year result. Okay, in my opinion. Okay, of course you can look back as far as possible, but for me, the past 5 years of Berkshire versus the S&P 500 should be good enough for you to have a sense of how Berkshire has fared in the stock market. So I have already highlighted the performance of Berkshire and S&P, and over here the column here is for Berkshire's annual um, return, and over here the rightmost column represents the S&P 500 index return. Okay, so you can see from 2018 to 2022, Berkshire actually has achieved positive return for the past 5 years. Okay, in each of the past 5 years, and I think this is quite an achievement, considering, you know, I think if you know if you know what is happening around the world, then you should know 2020 March. So we had the onset of the pandemic, and since then the pandemic lasted quite some time, and in fact it lasted slightly more than 3 years. Depends which country you are referring to. But on average, the pandemic lasted at least 3 years. Okay, in Singapore context, it lasted slightly more than 3 years, and now we are back to normal. Okay, no mask, and we are free to travel. Okay, even without the what's that the vaccine cert. Okay, then you can see S&P 500. Okay, two negative return in 2018 and 2022. Okay, so I think it's also good to look at, let's assume you invested $1,000 before 2018, and let's see how much you will get, okay, by holding Berkshire from 2018 onwards till 2022. Okay, so it's good to use Excel to do this calculation. So I have done it over here. So I just copy and paste the Berkshire return from 2018 to 2022, and I use $1,000 before 2018, and you should get $1,574, okay, at the end of 2022, if you hold on to Berkshire since 2018. All right, so within the past 5 years, the total return will be 57%. So it's not hard to do the math here. So it's about 57%, and that turns out to be a slightly, I would say, more or less 10% a year. Again, to me, 10% a year return is quite a achievement, considering what has happened in the past 5 years, right? So 2020 pandemic, the start of the pandemic, and by the way, the Ukraine and Russia war is still ongoing, and you have definitely heard of the geopolitical issues between China and USA. All right, so a lots of uncertainties, and by the way, there are always a lot of uncertainties. But I will say, recent years, there are more uncertainties than certainties. All right, going forward, I expect uncertainties will persist, and I'm not going to forecast what's going to happen because I think it's useless to do that. Okay, so let's come back to the Berkshire annual report. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, one thing to note, for the past so many years, 1965 to 2022, Berkshire actually has achieved a 19.8% per annum return. Okay, versus 9.9% for the S&P 500 index. Okay, so I will say, or the fact is, Berkshire actually outperformed the S&P 500 index by a huge margin. All right, so 19.8% per year versus 9.9% per year. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at the page 5 of this annual report. So over here, basically this is a very short letter penned by Warren Buffett, and there are a few pages, okay, written in this letter. Yeah, so the letter stops here. So I will leave it to you for you to read through the entire letter. In this short video, what I'm going to do is I just pick a certain part of the letter and give my opinion. All right. Why I should give my opinion on it? Because first of all, I am a shareholder of Berkshire Hathaway, and I have and my weightage in this Berkshire Hathaway is quite substantial in my portfolio. So I'm quite heavily invested in Berkshire. Okay, and so over here, I think there is this interesting thing about Berkshire shareholders. Okay, I think you can read here. We believe Berkshire's individual holders largely to be of the once a saver, always a saver variety. Yes. So if you follow Warren Buffett's annual letters long enough, and you know that he doesn't get paid a lot as a CEO or chairman of Berkshire. Okay, while CEOs of other big companies like Google, Facebook, and so on and so forth, I think they are making like hundreds of millions a year in salary. But guess what? Warren Buffett makes, I think, about 100K US dollars a year. Okay, yes, so 100K, okay, a year for a CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. Okay, and by the way, Berkshire Hathaway is a 600 billion market cap company. All right, and Warren Buffett, the CEO, only makes 100K, okay, a year in salary. And by the way, Warren Buffett is a substantial shareholder of Berkshire Hathaway as well. So, yeah, so please bear in mind. Okay, and let's take a look at another paragraph. What's interesting here? Over here, the secret sauce. Okay, over here, under the title The Secret Sauce. Basically Warren Buffett talks about his purchase in Coca-Cola and American Express. Okay, both were long-term holdings of Berkshire Hathaway, and the first purchase by Berkshire of Coca-Cola happened in the year of 1994, and since then Berkshire has been holding on to this stake of Coca-Cola shares, and the cost. So basically, Berkshire purchased this stake at $1.3 billion then, okay, in 1994, and this stake has ballooned to how much? Has ballooned to did they review? I think so. Okay. So it has ballooned to no, it didn't reveal that. But actually we can do a search, right? Yes. So Berkshire stake in Coke in 2022. Okay, by the way, I'm using Bing. Actually, I don't use Bing very often, but for the sake of convenience, I have Bing open already. What is the stake, by the way? Let me see. Never mind. I can do a search here. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. Let me do a search. No. Over here. Yes. No. Yes. Okay. Good. Yes. So right now the stake in Coca-Cola is worth about $25.4 billion from the cost of $1.3 billion first purchased in 1994. Okay, so that $1.3 billion stake in Coca-Cola has ballooned, okay, to $25.4 billion. Okay, so now let's look at another successful story of Berkshire Hathaway. Okay, let's go to page, is it 5? Yes, it's page 5. Okay, so another successful story of Warren Buffett's investment is American Express. So the cost of the American Express stake was about $1.3 billion, and it was made in 1995. Alright, and this stake has ballooned to okay, over here, $22 billion. So another 1 point something billion dollars to $22 billion. Okay, so two similar investment of similar cost amount, and now these two investments in Coca-Cola and in American Express, they both have ballooned to $20+ billion. Alright, so so what is the secret sauce here? Okay, the secret sauce here is you have to invest in great companies. That's number one. Number two, and you have to hold on to great companies. Alright, so the best thing to do is hold on to them forever, right? Let them compound and let them give you the dividends, okay, throughout. And let's not forget, for these two investments, both Coca-Cola and American Express, Berkshire received a dividend from these two great companies every single year, and I think you can take a look at that. Okay, so the cash dividend received in 1994 was only $75 million from Coca-Cola for a stake of $1.3 billion then, and by the 2022, so the dividend received from Coca-Cola ballooned to $700 million. Okay, so the dividend received a year has actually grown tenfold. All right. So similar story for American Express. Okay, so $41 million in dividend in 1995. Now American Express is giving out $302 million in dividends to Berkshire. Okay, so these two very successful stories of Berkshire investment journey. Okay, um, this is really something you want to learn from Berkshire, or rather the CEO of Berkshire, Warren Buffett. Okay, so after reading this, and my conviction in Berkshire actually has uh, solidified a lot more. Okay, um, and I am planning to hold on to Berkshire as long as possible. Okay, and probably I will pass on my Berkshire shares to my next generation. All right. Okay, next, and over here, the past in brief. So over here is the earnings, okay, for Berkshire for the past 1 year. Okay, and you can see quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, and quarter four earnings. Okay, so the one thing you should focus on is the operating earnings. So each quarter, okay, for Berkshire last year is okay. Over here, quarter one is 7B, and then quarter two is 9.3, quarter three is 7.8, and quarter four is 6.7. So I have done a mental calculation. So for the past 1 year, 2022, the operating earnings for Berkshire was about 30B. So that translates to a $7.5 billion per quarter. Okay, so $7.5 billion of operating earnings, and these operating earnings can be used to repurchase shares, and if not, they can also use these operating earnings to invest in other companies. Okay, so they can buy shares of great companies on the market, or they can also buy the entire companies outright. Okay, be it private or public listed, right? Or thirdly, and this has not been done by Berkshire so far. So the operating earnings, can be distributed as dividends to shareholders. But for this third option, and Berkshire has not done this before, and because Warren Buffett thinks that dividends to shareholders gets taxed at 35%. Okay, so this is a very unwise move, because every dividend I receive, or other shareholders of Berkshire receive, gets taxed 35%. So $1 in dividend given out, we shareholders only get 65%. I mean, so yeah, 65% of it, which is 65 cents. Okay, so a big chunk of it will be paid to the U.S. government. All right, so to protect us from this, okay, this disadvantage, so Berkshire has not given out any share, any dividend so far. Okay, I don't know what is going to happen in the future, but I hope and I trust Berkshire to put the money into good use. All right, and so just remember this: $7.5 billion per quarter earnings. Okay, and let's look at how much amount, okay, Berkshire has spent in repurchasing Berkshire Hathaway shares last year. So let me do a quickly search. I need to search for repurchase. So let's see. Okay, over here. Okay. Total number of shares repurchased over here, and then total number of shares repurchased on part of public. Okay. So, over here, okay, this is fourth quarter this is fourth quarter of 2022. Okay, so someone has done someone has done a calculation for the past 1 year, 2022. So Berkshire has repurchased uh, about 7 point, I think slightly $7+ billion of uh, Berkshire shares. Okay, so that translates to just 1/4 of operating earnings. Okay, so one more time. So 2022, the amount of dollars spent on repurchase Berkshire shares was $7+ billion, and this $7+ billion is just 1/4 of Berkshire's operating earnings. Okay, so in a way, there is still ample room, okay, for Berkshire to repurchase its own shares. All right, but this doesn't mean that Berkshire should spend all its operating earnings on repurchasing Berkshire shares. Okay, because you don't want to pay too much for your own shares. Sometimes the market will overprice your shares. Sometimes it will underprice your shares. So as a shareholder of Berkshire, I trust Warren Buffett and his partners and his colleagues to repurchase shares at a reasonable price, okay, or at price under price to its intrinsic value. Okay, so you can look at the average price paid for each share of the Class A and Class B shares. So you can see here for the Class B shares, right? His average purchase price is about $303. Okay, which is roughly about the same price now. Okay, so right now, I think the market has just opened. Yeah, the market has just opened, so we can take a look at that. So what is the share price for Berkshire right now? If I'm not wrong, it's about $304 right now. 305. Okay, so right now is 304, 305. Yes. So Warren Buffett is willing to pay 303 for Berkshire Class B share. Okay, so yeah, I think it's pretty telling, huh? So I will stop right here. Okay, at what price you should buy Berkshire B, you make your own decision. All right. Okay, let's go back to the shareholder letter. I think for me, this will be the last thing I'm interested in looking at. Okay, so one more time, and Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway's annual shareholder meeting is going to be held in Omaha this May, and it's worth noting this is like pilgrims going to Mecca, you know. So it's the shareholders of Berkshire are the pilgrims, and Omaha is Mecca. Okay, so if you are looking forward to that, I think you should look out for info on how to attend the annual shareholder meeting. Okay, so I think that's about it. If you wish to have a copy of this, and then you can actually go to BRK IR. So just click on the first link, and then just go to annual and interim reports. So this over here you get to download the 2022 and other years annual reports. Okay, so thank you for watching, and even though you don't watch, it's okay. So this is a record of my thoughts throughout my investing journey. So let's see after some time whether Berkshire will continue to continue to exist plus thrive. All right. So thank you. Bye bye.